So let me ask you this, and I want to get into the details of the bill. And one of the first things I want you to answer after I ask this other question is, what is a federal tax credit? I mean, in education, what it looks like. But is there any incongruity between closing the Department of Education, where there's less federal involvement, and this bill, which would almost expand the federal government's role state by state in some of these scholarship offerings?
Yeah, so this is a conversation I have with a lot of folks because abolishing the Department of Education, as you know, captures a lot of headlines.
Yep.
It creates a lot of
That's
anxiety.
why I asked.
and what I say to people is these two things have nothing to do with each other. So the construction of a federal scholarship tax credit is the most important word there is tax. This is a tax bill. So it is really not even an education bill. It is a tax bill. And the way that this works, as it works in 21 states around the country, is individual and corporate donors contribute to nonprofit scholarship granting organizations who then provide scholarships to students. So the donors, they will receive a 100% non-refundable tax credit, and the parents and the students are the beneficiaries of this. So it really doesn't have anything to do with the Federal Department of Education. It is not a federal program. It's very important. This is not a federal program. And it does not take any funding away from whatever the federal government is currently providing for K-12 education. And that's a really important point. And we tell people that the beauty of this is that we are adding private money to our K-12 education, which will accrue directly to the benefit of students.
What's powerful about that is the best example in the state of Florida, where they had the most robust tax credit program, scholarship program, and you had a lot of corporate donors give money to the entity running the program in Florida, so that working class, low income kids will be able to attend private schools of their choice. And while there was some pushback on it initially, a lot of Democrats in the state of Florida supported the program, African American Democrats, and you had a lot of kids benefit. Do you see Florida as an example about what's possible with this federal bill if we go state by state? And then talk about whether or not it will automatically apply to all states.
So Florida is the nation's model education choice state. And this all began, as you know, in the late 90s under Governor Jeb Bush. And the state of Florida has kept their foot on the gas, and they have continued to create more and more opportunities for their citizens. And one of the great things about Florida is we saw that, once more and more kids were able to participate in what they were doing, you were moving into a lot of different constituencies. And the folks in Florida, particularly the folks that Step Up for Students, they would work very hard to bring those beneficiaries in to see their legislators, who were often, Democrats, African American Democrats, Hispanic Democrats, white Democrats. And eventually you started to get to a point where you were building bipartisan support for this, which is great because the politicians realized that their constituents were truly benefiting from this. And that's what this is about. And I think with this federal scholarship tax credit, it will not only complement what states like Florida are doing, and there are now 32 states that have some form of private school choice, because what we are trying to do here with this federal scholarship tax credit is it can be stacked on top of whatever a state is doing. So you are increasing purchasing power for parents and you're helping more kids. And then in addition to that, it will create opportunities in places like New York and California, Michigan, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Colorado, places that have not been able to get around that corner to expand education freedom. So my hope is that what we experienced in Florida over the last 20 years, with this becoming more of a bipartisan issue, I am hoping that this is going to happen around the country when we get this done, because we're going to create a lot of beneficiaries who are going to be in a lot of districts who are represented by Democrats, and we're going to try to get these folks in to see their policymakers and say, look, this stuff works. This is not a Republican or a Democrat issue. This is about kids. This is about helping kids.
Thanks for listening to What I Want to Know. Be sure to follow and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app so you can explore other episodes and dive into our discussions on the future of education. And write a review of the show. I also encourage you to join the conversation and let me know what you want to know using hashtag WIWTK on social media. That's hashtag WIWTK. For more information on Stride and online education, visit stridelearning.com. I'm your host, Kevin P. Chavous. Thank you for joining What I Want to Know.